What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for live full-time reaction to Ross County 1, Celtic 4 in Dingwall as we secure passage to the quarter-finals of the League Cup. The draw has just been made. Celtic are away to Motherwell in the quarter-finals. I've got Chris and Kenny here with me to go over tonight's game. Kenny, we'll start with you, mate. 9 changes. That's more than I thought the manager would make tonight, but good performance and a lot of key players vested with the big games coming up.
Yeah, and an overly physical side, Ross County. So I don't know if that played into his thinking of actually, rotating almost every single player. I was a bit surprised he made 9 changes. Traditionally, he doesn't go that heavy when he's trying to rotate. But what I think it proved to, so I was a little bit anxious about it. You never know how even good sides, when they make 9 changes, can look a bit disjointed. But it just proved that the Postecoglou imprint is not just based around 11 brilliant players. It's based around a squad of 22 players, because all of the hallmarks of his philosophy were there right from the start. The pressing, the fullbacks playing all over the park, the wingers playing really high, really wide, all the pace of play, it was all there. And that was, for me, the most reassuring thing, that you realise that this is a systemic thing that he's built throughout the entire squad. And that's something that doesn't happen overnight. That's something that's taken him months of dedication on the training ground, day in, day out, and you can just see it manifest itself. That was really pleasing. And then individual performances, I thought Welsh was pretty effective, actually. When we went up there last time, Carter Vickers was effective at going forward, really stepping out into space, which just isn't something we see very often from their centre-back. So he was maybe encouraging Welsh to do something similar, because he was doing that and it was opening a lot up. I thought Ralston was good throughout the whole game, actually. He's a shout for man of the match, Ralston. I mean, he was playing in front of Giakoumakis. At one point, we got that back heel assist for the second goal. He was all over the place. And I thought Moy deserved a mention as well. Really tidy stuff. Just quite deceiving, because, he's not got that obvious energy that you associate with the Postecoglou midfielder, but his brain makes up for it, and looks like, he could do a job in there in that number 6. So overall, great first half. I think the second half, it was just complacency, which isn't like a Postecoglou side to be complacent. They just stepped off a little bit. Embarrassing goal that we conceded. Embarrassing is the right word for it. But then the one guy that didn't stop in the second half was Maeda. He was bombing around that whole second half in his usual fashion. And I think it was fitting that he got the goal that buried the game, because he deserved that. So overall, pleased. Difficult outing. It's never easy getting up there. Less easy midweek with 9 changes. So, yeah, really professional.
Aye, absolutely. And it ended up arguably more comfortable than the league game up there when we did have a full-strength team out. Chris, Kenny's right in what he's saying there. It's almost reassuring to see that the manager can make these changes, as many as 9. And it really goes to show the depth that we have this season, that there's not really a drop-off, and the work they're doing on the training pitch, and how everybody buys into what he's put in place, because the patterns are still the same, the intensity is still the same. It looks like a Postecoglou team despite all the changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned this the other day in our chat, Paul, but if anyone hasn't watched it, the open goal, the most recent open goal interview with Ange Postecoglou, what really was remarkable and just plays right off what you're saying, Paul, is that they basically used the 4 weeks of their pre-season and the 4 weeks of the start of the season to essentially be an entire training camp. That's the way they looked at it. They wanted to get the levels up in all the players, knowing that we had the first 4 weeks of the season where we were only playing 1 game a week, and now starts the very heavy schedule where we're going to be playing, either Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it might be going from a Saturday, a Tuesday, Sunday to a Wednesday. And that is tremendous. And I totally agree with Kenny. Zero drop off in the way that we play and the emphasis that, Ange puts on how he expects the team to play. And it was, even when they scored, which was a poor goal to lose, as we'll talk about, I never felt like we were in any danger of not winning that tie. And I always felt like we were going to score if we absolutely wanted to. So, yeah, really tremendous to see that we can make 9 changes. And this just speaks to the squad depth. I don't remember a squad depth like this ever as a Celtic fan. And I think one of the most troubling results in my lifetime was during the treble year when we didn't win anything. Rangers won the treble. We went to the UEFA Cup final. Martin O'Neill made maybe 3 changes up in Inverness, and we lost the game and got knocked out the Scottish Cup in the quarter-final, right? That just speaks to the depth that we have now and the trust that the players have in the manager and vice versa. So fantastic to get through the game pretty much unscathed, maybe Welsh being the only one, and onto the weekend and then Tuesday for 2 just glorious ties.
I can't wait to talk about those before we finish up tonight. Kenny, the 2 goals in the first half, really good in different ways. Another goal for a corner. That's been a wee bit of a theme so far, in contrast to previous seasons where we struggled offensively for corners. Turnbull shows a good bit of invention. McGregor finishes it, maybe takes a nick off the defender. But the second goal is really, really well worked. Ball into Turnbull, he's carried on, as you say, into that. He's not even in the midfield position anymore. He's up next to Giakoumakis, flicks it. Giakoumakis turns onto his left foot and drills home a lovely finish. 2 really good goals.
Yeah, the first goal was just good. It was clever from Turnbull and McGregor. They were both very alert. I don't know why they didn't pick up McGregor. They were just sleeping. But
yeah.
If you're sleeping, and 2 touches later it's in the back of the net, you're against an efficient side. And Turnbull, it's not that easy to find McGregor. Okay, he's kind of unmarked in the box, but he's whipped it in a way whereby all McGregor's got to do is try and guide it home. Gets a bit of a nick. So that was quite clever. But the second goal was excellent. Yeah, I mean, brilliant from Ralston just to find himself in there. But I mean, who would have thought when Ralston, was on the bench for St Johnstone 3 years ago, or whenever it was, and he was an outcast, that he'd be, back heeling in the number 10 position for us and looking like a Rolls Royce. I mean, it's not just that type of thing. When he's in an offensive area and he's whipping balls in, there's a real quality. He can defend. He's excellent, Tony Ralston. I thought he was superb tonight, but that was about the most flair he's ever shown in that second goal. And then Giakoumakis, actually, his first touch, I thought, in live play was off his shin or something, because he's got a bit of a habit of that, but it wasn't. It was actually a really clever inside touch just to make space for himself. And then when he's facing goal, he's just going to wrap that. You just knew it was in the back of the net because he doesn't miss. So he was a bit. I think his injury sort of unnerved him a bit, because he was a real handful up until he got that heavy knock. It wasn't just his goal. His movement at cross balls was excellent in that first half. Before he got his knock. After he got his knock, he just really faded. But yeah, no, two clever goals in different ways. And at that point, you thought we were out of sight. But as I say, we did become complacent. Yeah,
Chris, just a bit of a dip at the start of that second half, but may as well get out of the way now. The goal's really, really poor into it. I do acknowledge that about 30 seconds before that, we're on a counter-attack up the pitch, and Willie Collum brings it back for a free kick. And if he'd have played the advantage, we were away and we were countering on Ross County, but the county keepers just booted up the pitch, and Jordan White's won the header. Jens is switched off, and Jakovic, who's got a habit of scoring against Celtic, that's maybe his 3rd goal against us now, is just get the freedom of the 6-yard box to nod it past Siegrist. A really, really poor goal.
You encapsulated it perfectly, Paul, right? You only felt they were going to score a goal either from a set piece or a route one, option, right? As you say, White wins the header. It goes into a very dangerous area. We're kind of switched off, and Jakovic has just got an easy header to just redirect it past Siegrist. And to be honest, Siegrist didn't really have much to do tonight. He did make one save later in that second half that was a superb save just at the time of the game and how the game was balanced. But yeah, really poor goal. Only the second one, mind you, we've conceded, and both have been to Ross County away from home. So, so far, it's a very good record. It's 25 goals and 2 against in all competitions. So I'm not going to sit here and complain, although I'm sure Ange will have a few things to say. He will probably not be happy with that goal, but overall, it really didn't change the context or the result in any way in terms of what was looking to be a positive performance and through to the last 8 for us.
Aye, Kenny, the fear is when Ross County get a goal back, it gives them a bit of life in the game, and we have a nervy spell, but that didn't really happen tonight, and we got the 2-goal lead back pretty quickly. You mentioned Maeda's work rate in the second half earlier. It's dead easy to underestimate that goal that he scores, because we work it well on the edge of the box and Giakoumakis lays it off from McGregor, but the keeper parries it. Maeda's best part of 5 yards behind the defender, but he's so alert, so alive and so quick to just get round him, make sure he's first to the ball and knock it in.
Yeah, he's really unique, Maeda. I would say he's one of the more unique players You've seen a jersey. He's not got the flair of Jota. You know, he's not got the sort of finishing ability of Abada, but what he's got on both of them is just his ability to close down and his ability to press. I've never seen anyone press like him in my life. And some of his runs on the outside in that second half are just frightening. When you see it sort of more close up like that at a smaller ground like that, you can see how frightening it must be for the fullbacks. And his attitude, he just epitomises the Postecoglou attitude of never stopping. And when he went and finished that goal, I just thought it was really fitting for him, to a fitting reward for his overall contribution. So he might find himself out of the team now, because it's hard to lift Abada out the side when he put in that swashbuckling performance against Dundee United. So that in itself just lets you know how strong we are. Someone of Maeda's quality is probably going to find himself on the bench against Rangers and against Real Madrid. And that's just testament to the squad. But he did himself no harm. I mean, you saw Postecoglou was so pleased with him when he came off. And understandably so. It was a good outing from him.
Yeah, I think Chris Maeda's came in for a little bit of unfair criticism. We know there's sort of rough edges to his game technically at times, but his work rate, his ability against the ball, his desire, and he's got a knack for scoring goals as well, despite the fact he's not the best finisher in the world, but he's got a knack at getting in the right place at the right time and reacting the way that he did tonight. And that is going to be one of the major headaches for Postecoglou over the next 7 days, about whether to go with Maeda or Abada.
It definitely is, and I don't envy our big boss that decision, but I think Kenny nailed it. There's no chance Abada and Jota do not start on Saturday. I just think I'm Paul. We can have a pint another time if Kenny and I are wrong when I'm back in Scotland. But I'm telling you right now, there's no danger Abada does not start the game on Saturday. He is a shoo-in, because I think he's also scored against Rangers before. And I think he's proven just in that game where he was given his first start against Dundee United that just how lethal he can be. And even his assists in the game, he wasn't like, otherworldly tonight, but just to close out the Maeda, what a dream to bring that type of player on though, right? If you're either chasing the game or you're trying to close out the game and you've got somebody that can give you 30, 35 minutes of just constant pressing as the other team begins to perhaps tire their back line, just absolutely amazing. And his work rate, similar to Kyogo, is completely infectious. And other players, when they see that, it just makes them want to try that little bit harder. Like there was one moment in the first half tonight where Giakoumakis ran from the far touchline all the way across to try and block the Ross County keeper. Brilliant. Like that just in itself. And I believe that caused a turnover in possession. The ball went to Maeda and then we're breaking back up the park. Like that is just the Ange ball, 100% non-stop. We never stop. Love it.
Aye, it's brilliant to see the intensity and the consistency of it. Kenny, I just think with Maeda, I think the manager likes him in big games, and I think it's because of what he gives us in terms of getting after teams and pressing them and what we have out of possession. So I think it's a toss of a coin on Saturday, honestly. It would not surprise me to see Maeda start at all, but I accept that last weekend Abada comes back into the team, bangs in a hat-trick, gets 1 or 2 assists and looks like an absolute world beater. So it's a tough decision.
It is, but it's not just that game from Abada. He's been excellent in the appearances he's had from the bench. When Maeda started, he's come on, and a number of times he's sort of reinvigorated. Not him alone. We've made wholesale subs at points, but he's been key to breathing life into a lot of the games in the league this season. So I think it's not just that incredible performance. It is a tough one because with Maeda you get more. We're going to have to be a bit more defensively minded. If there's one team in the world you need to recognise, you need to kill your jets a wee bit against, it's Real Madrid, right? And if Maeda does give you that more of a sort of physical defensive outlay, you find himself, you see him tracking back into fullback positions, Maeda. You don't get that from Abada. So he's got that in his locker, but then, I don't know, maybe he'll play Abada against Rangers, but feel like Maeda would be more suited to Real Madrid because we can be more offensive against Rangers. We don't really need to be, too respectful of them, whereas Maeda might be a bit more suited to Madrid. I would think he would go with Abada against Rangers. But you're right, there's definitely a possibility he could play Maeda.
It'll be interesting to see who he goes with. Chris, we've seen a Celtic debut for Sead Haksabanovic, and it was only glimpses, 15 minutes in a League Cup tie against Ross County, but that boy looks like a player.
Honestly, small sample size. I will completely caveat what I'm about to say. Okay, but just if that's what we're going to be in for, if he's coming either off the bench or begins to insert himself into the starting lineup, imagine the headache that gives the manager. You've got Jota, Abada, Haksabanovic, and Maeda as your 4 potential options, 3 of which can play in multiple positions. I mean, what a luxury to have within your 4-3-3 formation. He's so direct. That first, I think it was his first touch, he brings it out, he cuts onto his left foot, and he put in an absolute peach of a ball. A peach of a ball. If that's Kyogo attacking the ball at the back post, that's a goal. That is just a goal. So, yes, small sample size, and we're not going to get too excited, but very, very shrewd piece of business, I think. And just honestly, there is not one Celtic player, and I don't include Idikuchi in this statement because he's been hurt. There is not one Celtic player yet. And Bernabei, very raw, young. I think he's got a lot to learn. But for the rest of the players that Ange has signed, amazing. And Kenny mentioned this in our group chat earlier. Michael Nicholson deserves a ton of credit along with Ange for the recruitment that we have done. The players that we've even been able to get out of the club. Ajeti going on loan today with an option to buy. Julien is gone. And Kenny made the point, if McCarthy has moved on and we free up his wages, puts us in a tremendous position with our squad depth and the options that we have. So very exciting, and Haksabanovic is definitely in that category.
Kenny looks similar to Jota in a way where he loves to drive in for the left-hand side, but he can go both ways. You can tell that he favours cutting in on his right foot, but as Chris says, the first time he picks up the ball, he goes left. And then that wee run about 2 minutes later where he takes the ball, plays a 1-2 with Giakoumakis, drives forward, plays a lovely ball into the channel for, I think, McGregor or someone charging into the box. And it's just those wee glimpses where you think that boy looks sharp.
Yeah, I was actually really taken aback by him. I mean, sometimes you watch someone in their debut and you just know in yourself in that moment that they're going to be great and they're a really good fit for the club, and they've just settled straight away. I remember it with Beram Kayal's debut, just came away from the stadium thinking, we've won a watch. I remember it with Big Samaras's debut thinking, he's just fitted in straight away like a glove. You could see it with him in a moment. He was absolutely, some of his stuff was really sublime what he was doing there in that 15-minute spell. I mean, he never gave the ball away once, really inventive, really low centre of gravity. I did a bit of research on him that suggested he wasn't that quick, but he looks quick. So look, you don't want to get overexcited after watching someone play for 15 minutes, but it's a bit hard not to. If that was 1.7 million or something we've paid for him, I mean, the recruitment is in the forward areas is off the charts. It's as good as it's the club have ever had it. I don't know where they're pulling these people for 1.7 million, but he looks really special. I'm really excited to see. I mean, how's he going to get a game? It's just hard to. It's a brilliant problem to have, but he just looks like the real deal.
Mm. Chris, this is something intangible that you can never really know from the outside looking in, but I wonder how much a factor the culture that Ange has set at Celtic plays into the success rate of these signings, because these guys come in the door and they see the standard that they have to reach, and immediately they want to be involved. The team spirit looks brilliant, despite the fact that the guys have been together for a relatively short period of time. They've come from all over the world, but the culture looks there and it's set. And if you bring good players into a bad culture, they'll become bad players. But I think what you see is the success rate of these signings is because they're coming in somewhere where the culture and the style is set and everybody's bought into it. And if you come in, you have to rise and meet the standard.
100%. And again, from the same interview with Ange Postecoglou on Open Goal, he spoke openly about it's the type of human being and the type of person, in addition to their skill as a footballer, that I'm bringing to the club, right? Because if you're the right type of person and you have the right type of personality, you'll be able to play in my system without any issue. And I think for Haksabanovic as the most recent example, I believe he played with Carl Starfelt, right? And he reached out to him and said, like, what kind of club am I coming into? And you can be absolutely sure that what he heard on the other end of the phone is exactly what you've just articulated, that you're coming to a place that's got a tremendous manager. We're playing fantastic football, the type of football every footballer would love to be part of. And obviously a huge club, and the chance to play that type of football against Europeans' best clubs in the Champions League and compete for trophies. It's a no-brainer. Like, as soon as he found out he had offers from other clubs, it was like, nope, agent, make it happen, going to Celtic. Just like, I can't believe the position we find ourselves 12, 13 months on from the Neil Lennon debacle. It's like it was light years ago. It's mind-boggling, the turnaround that he has brought to this club. And he if he continues in this vein, he will go down as an absolute, and I don't use this word very often, legend as a manager if he keeps this going.
Aye, exciting times. Kenny, we've seen first competitive starts for Siegrist, Bernabei and Moy tonight. You briefly touched on Moy earlier. What do you think of Siegrist and Bernabei?
I think Siegrist is a marked improvement on Scott Bain. Scott Bain, I don't know why we extended his deal. I just don't think he was at the level. When you saw Hart come out and he came in, it was like absolutely night and day. Whereas Siegrist has a real presence about him. He didn't have a great deal to do, but he took a nice deep cross with their tall strikers under his neck. He kept his in a nice position in the game. A really tidy save.
Really good save, yeah.
Half to stop it going 3-2. So he's familiar. He's played up there over many years. He's familiar. He doesn't come in and feel nervous and look rusty. So that was a really good outing for him. I thought that was a great signing for the word go him on a Bosman. It just was a really
no-brainer, wasn't it? Yeah.
Bernabei made me anxious in pre-season, and he's obviously quite a gifted little guy. He's got speed and he's nice on the ball, but for me, if I'm honest, he looked really vulnerable defensively pre-season. Now, pre-season, anyone can look at it. Carter Vickers looked vulnerable pre-season. It doesn't always mean anything, but that's your first sighting of him. And I don't think I thought he was a bit clumsy tonight. He's given the ball away reasonably regularly, looked just out of control a few times with their fullback getting in behind him. By the same token, put in a couple of nice crosses, good low centre of gravity, showing some flashes of what he can do, but I'm not sure that we've got the luxury of having a project in there. I'd like to see everywhere across the park, there's no project sitting as number twos. You've got number twos that are pushing right down the neck of the guy with the jersey. I think on that outing tonight, there's quite a distance between him and Greg Taylor in terms of, I mean, if you threw him in against Real Madrid, it would be a catastrophe, I would imagine. Greg Taylor, everybody's going to struggle against Real Madrid, but Greg Taylor at least has the sort of experience to give you a bit of assuredness. So I'm a bit unsure about Bernabei's get. I just hope he's not too much of a project and that he can find his feet a bit quicker than he's perhaps showing at the moment.
Chris, what do you make of Bernabei?
Yeah, I totally echo what Kenny has said. I thought he was poor in possession at times and just really kind of sloppy with the ball. He's definitely got some promise offensively, and I think he does have the ability to put in a good ball. But let's just be honest, that's Taylor's jersey, 100%. And, not every player that comes in is going to have the immediate impact. And we've been fortunate that the greatest number of our signings in the last 12 months have come in, and you're just like, wow, these players are just making an incredible impact and providing a tremendous service to the club right out of the gate. So it's okay for me if he ultimately, does require a little bit of time, because I think in games that are not as important, we could still ship Juranovic over to that side if Taylor got injured. And then we know that, Ralston is incredibly dependable, at right back, and is a tremendous asset to the squad. So for me, it's not a major concern. But we did spend some decent money on him. So yeah, I shouldn't doubt Ange for 1 second. He knows what he's doing, right? So I'll reserve judgment until further down the line.
It's early days. It's early days for Bernabei. Right, we'll take these games one at a time, and all the concentration can move to Saturday now, Kenny. We could scarcely be in better form coming into it. You could debate all day how much form is a factor in these games, but how are you feeling going into Saturday?
I mean, look, you can't help but feel really confident after the Dundee United game. I think he just reverts back to that side, and the front six take care of themselves. I think, having watched Rangers in Europe, Sands at centre half looks as if he's a bit error-strewn. I know they got through those tough ties, but they carried a little bit of luck with him. I can see Kyogo causing him real chaos. He struggled against Connor Goldson, Kyogo, in the outings that he's had with him. He's not had an impact against Rangers, but I think he'll learn from that. And I think if we give him the right type of service in behind, then he could do. I can see us scoring at least a couple of goals. The only area I'm a little bit anxious about is Starfelt or Jens. Obviously, Vickers will be solid. Starfelt's not played much. He's looked rusty. I thought against Dundee United, Stephen Fletcher threw him around, which isn't a good sign. I thought he looked poor when he came on again tonight. Jens had done well ahead of that, but Jens looked quite weak tonight. So I don't know who he'll start. Well, I do know who he'll start with. I think he'll start with Starfelt. It just seems that way. But that would be my only concern if that Kolak seems to be having in good scoring form for them. Could he cause Starfelt some problems that allows them to get on the score sheet? I think that's possible. But look, I'm about as confident as you can be getting into one of these games. I can see us scoring 2/3 goals, and whether we'll keep a clean sheet or not, I'm not sure. But I think I'm pretty confident that we're going to stretch the lead to 5 points, which is healthy.
Yeah, hopefully. Chris, obviously playing at Dingwall on a Wednesday night means the players won't get back to the early hours tomorrow morning. But the solace is that the likes of Carter Vickers, O'Reilly, Hart, Kyogo, Jota, they've all basically had a night off. So that should stand us in good stead. And as Kenny says, you'd expect us to go back to that team that started last weekend at Tannadice.
Yeah, I think undoubtedly that's going to be the team, and like you said, the majority of what is our strongest 11, at least based on form right now. Only Callum McGregor played, and maybe that's the only. If I was to have one minor complaint, is I think the way Moy played tonight. You could easily have given McGregor the night off, right? The way I thought Moy was tremendous in the 6 role tonight and really controlled the game back there and was always willing to come to the ball. And it was excellent with his passing and his distribution and breaking up the play. It might have meant that either an O'Reilly had to play tonight alongside Turnbull, so to speak, but only complaint is that the captain had to play 90 minutes, but never seems to affect him anyway going into the next game. But yeah, that's going to be the team. I think the only decision to our earlier discussion is it's either Maeda or Abada, I just don't see him playing Jens, having not had the experience of that Celtic Rangers atmosphere yet, but that might be the only other kind of decision he has to make on Saturday morning.
Maybe he'll throw Haksabanovic in instead of Maeda or Abada.
Could you imagine?
Kenny, you touched on man of the match earlier. Can you single somebody out tonight?
My heart wants to give it to Haksabanovic for that 15-minute cabinet. It's so exciting, but I would give it to Ralston. I thought Moy for the first sort of hour. But I think overall, give it to Ralston. It was 2 assists. When he got that second assist, I thought that just nudged him into that position of being man of the match. He wasn't an obvious man of the match, but he is really dependable is a good word that Chris used for him, because that's exactly what he is. He's so reliable. You just know what you're going to get with him. If he could play against Rangers and you know he's going to do well, he could probably play against Real Madrid and then put in as good a defensive shift as Juranovic would. So, yeah, I would give man of the match to Ralston.
Chris?
Yeah, honourable mention to Turnbull as well. I thought DT was tremendous tonight as well. I thought he's such an intelligent footballer. And as I just mentioned, Moy had an excellent game in the 6, but can't disagree with picking Ralston. I just thought he was absolutely superb tonight. 2 assists all over the park, just superb. And he is like a Celtic fans player. He's just gritty, gives you everything he's got for the jersey, and he's proven so many people wrong. And I love that type of story for a footballer. It's brilliant. So yeah, super happy for Ralston. And yeah, give him man of the match tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ralston was really, really good tonight. Laid it on for Forrest, I think, for the 4th goal as well. James Forrest has now scored in 14 consecutive seasons, which I think is a bit bonkers. But there you go. That rounds us up for tonight. Like this video, comment with your own thoughts on tonight's game below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you very soon for the build-up to the first derby of the season on Saturday. Cheers.